Unlocking unseen possibilities for unlimited growth. You're here today with Nader Sabry, and we're talking about choice over despair. I just want to take a quick recap of how these videos are structured. We're looking at decision making and how decision making works. Decision making is binary. There either is a yes or no, or a 1 and 0. And then there's a whole bunch of gray areas in the middle, which is what we talk about. And these gray areas in the middle will create disruption, distortion, and potentially even destruction, because it keeps us completely indecisive. And so we look at how to transform this gray area in the middle to make it black or white. Today we're talking about choice over despair. What I mean by choice over despair is, and I'm going to go step back about a couple of keynote speeches I've actually done about this, and the most powerful thing that we possess as an individual is the power of choice. And let me just repeat that one more time, is that the most powerful thing that we possess is the power of choice. And even the most default choice that gives you the ultimate power is the choice of actually just saying absolutely not or no, or deciding not to participate. That is a conscious and intentional decision that gives you the power which you possess internally to make that choice. Often I come across several entrepreneurs that I work with and clients in corporations and government who enter extremely challenging situations both on a professional and personal level, and they end up entering, even if there's slight forms of despair, they can turn into entire despair. Despair being completely hopeless, feeling that they cannot achieve what they're out to achieve, even if they're saying it and it's written down and they're saying they're believing it, but deep down inside, they're in despair. Despair to me is a tool of the devil. Sounds weird. Forgive me if that sounds a bit weird for anyone watching this, but I believe it's the #1 tool of the devil, because disparity is the #1 way to make anybody stop or quit anything. If I want to make you stop, I'll just make you feel hopeless, and you just will make no decisions and become completely indecisive. The way to overcome despair is understanding that you have the power of choice. And the default power of choice is the fact that you can just say no. Now, there are some scenarios which the best answer to doing something is actually not doing anything at all. But when you leave it to someone else to make that decision for you, you're no longer in power. So quite a common saying that I give a lot of my clients and entrepreneurs that I mentor, I say, if you don't make a decision, someone is going to make a decision for you. So make that decision before somebody else does it for you, because the most powerful thing that you possess is the power of choice. So start making those choices and decisions now before somebody else makes them for you. When you start developing an ability to make clear-cut decisions, right? You get out of that gray area in the middle and you get to black and white. You start to identify with the concept that the decision making and choice is like a muscle. You get stronger and stronger with time. Your confidence level goes up. And I don't mean destructive confidence, I'm talking constructive confidence, where you're able to make clear-cut, decisive decisions because you understand the power of choice. And to understand the power of choice, you need to be able to identify what your options are. If somebody is trying to condition you or control you, they will offer you a menu of choice. And a menu of choice is usually within the parameters of their own interest or control. That can be a very dangerous thing, or sometimes they are giving you some good options. You'll need to know which one to choose the best. But when you have the power and you say, well, you don't have the power, you will have the power to say, I will not take options 1, 2, or 3. I'm creating my own options 1, 2, and 3, and those are the choices that I'm going to work with. One of the things that I've seen in investor pitching, that is over the last 20 years in pitching for multi-million dollars in investment funding for startup companies, when you create too many options for investors, you're less likely to actually land investment. The less choices you give, because you're taking the power of choice into your own hands, the more likely that you are actually to close the funding rounds. As strange as it might sound. That also applies when you're pursuing consumers, right? If you have 10, 20 different packages, you're most likely to have complete indecision and get nothing moving along. But if you got 3 to choose from, you're more likely to have more decisions made. Another great example of this is McDonald's. McDonald's started out with a highly simplistic menu, very few basic items. They expanded, and then they would see revenue go down. They'd be doing more promotions to get people buying more items, and it just wasn't working. So you will see throughout the history of McDonald's, once their menu expands, because it just does naturally, they go back and compress it back to the basics of what that menu is about, and then they see sales again come out. So it's not about having less options, it's about having the right options. But for you personally, finally, again, I'm going to remind you as we close this point, whereas choice over despair, is that the most powerful thing you possess is the power of choice. And before you allow anyone else to make a decision on your behalf, you need to make that decision for yourself, because that is the power that you possess within yourself. That is choice over despair. Thank you for watching this video. Don't forget to subscribe, press the notification bell, like the video, share your comments. See you in the next video.